Well, good morning. Sorry about that. I had to go get my coat this morning. Forgot to put it on. I realized as I started this morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. And looking forward to getting started with the week. See what excitement brings. Lots of states making decisions to get started and reopening, and we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. But as always, we always try to start with something a little more American, and just continuing to push the idea of, standing up for our rights. And I like to play the national anthem. But this morning I thought again I'd read the Declaration, portion of the Declaration of Independence. So we'll just get into it. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, and it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So, again, as we talk today, I think it's important to continue to think about that and understand the kinds of things that are being told, and understand sometimes the double standard that's being set, and we will talk about that more in the episode today. As always, again, thank you for joining me today. If you're joining us for the first time, please subscribe. If you're watching the video and you enjoy it, please like the video. And of course, if you think it's important that other people see it, which I hope you do, please go ahead and share this video with your friends in whatever way you do that, whether that's just through email or on Facebook or on Twitter, any of those subjects. So any of those platforms. And as always, again, we've got Opela For Wisconsin. We're still out looking for nomination papers. Please consider helping me getting on the ballot. You can go to our website at www.trailblazer19.com, which has the link to our nomination papers. Also, it has a lot of very good information. Again, links to our videos that are on issues related topics like jobs, Social Security, healthcare, all of these topics that I'm sure are important to you as you decide who you want to vote for in the coming months. And at this point, just asking that you consider helping me get on the ballot. And again, if you would go to the website, you'll want to download the nomination paper, and this is what it looks like. And when you do that, you'll be able to print out not only that sheet, but some state of Wisconsin information as well. And then you can also download our instructions that we've just put together to try to be helpful. And then, if you're concerned about where you are in the district, or you're trying to understand where you might be in the district, please download this interactive map. It's a great map, and it allows you to look and see where you are in the district. Plus, it shows you just how big the district is and how important this district is to the state of Wisconsin. Then there's also a sample document you can download that helps show how the form should be filled out. I'm running on the idea for choice. I've been running that way since the very beginning, and in the nomination process, you should want choice. You should want to be able to exercise your right to choice and hear alternate ideas between when nomination papers are filed, during the nomination process, and more importantly, from when nomination papers are filed and the people who get on the ballot then have the opportunity to campaign to ask you to vote for them for the primary. And you can make a well-educated choice on who that might be. And you can look at people's past records and decide if you agree with them or don't agree with them. And in particular, I don't agree with Tom's past record, especially here during the crisis, and failure to provide any real leadership through this process. So, that's what pushes me to continue to look to be your representative in Congress. And I hope that you'll consider at least just helping me get on the ballot and allowing me the opportunity then to get in more detail and talk more. But I do know that if you want to know more about my positions, please go to the videos here on Here's My Issue. And there are campaign videos, there are topic related videos, and there are, of course, our live broadcasts, which allow you to see me each day, hear me talk, hear my opinions, hear how I think about things, which I think is very helpful as you make the decision to say, hey, I want to vote for this person, or I think this person could do a better job, and we need new blood in Congress, not old blood in Congress. And what I mean by old blood, I mean people who have been in politics, who vote party lines, who are backed by super PACs, and on and on and on. And so, as always, we've got to finish that part of the show up with the disclaimers. My name is Michael Opela, and I approve this message. And then we've got, of course, the last one, which is paid for by Trailblazers for Michael Opela Committee. 2, 3, and 4. All right, we're all official again. Always like to be official. And please, just another reminder, as part of my emphasis on this show, is to continue to be the watchdog with the state legislature. And I did propose a bill here several weeks ago, in which we've seen no movement on any of these topics. Whether it's my bill is worth them introducing in the way it's written or not isn't really the point. The point is these are topics that I think are important to people here in the entire state, not just the District 7. And I think they would be topics that are people are concerned about around the country. So again, this document is available on my website, and it talks about making sure that people who are unemployed have health insurance. It talks about making sure people are maintaining their income levels during this crisis, and none of it really is perpetual, meaning this isn't something I'm proposing that would be ongoing, and this would be the new standard for unemployment or for health care or for Badger care in our state and whatever other programs other states have around the country. But it would be at least a model for what we need to do to help people get through this, keep commerce going in the new, what people keep trying to refer to as the new economy. So if the new economy is people purchasing things more and more and more from home and online, then we would want to have that revenue stream coming through the consumer, which would then feed the businesses, which would then feed the tax pool. So it doesn't make any sense to just circumvent the consumer and the people trying to find a way to survive this, to say that you've got to protect the businesses. How you protect the businesses is having more money in the consumer's hand so that they can spend more money in the ways that we're going to see it happen in the coming months. And of course, as a business person, we're going to have to be dynamic in how we look at what we're doing and look for new ways to do them. I mean, that's just the way of the world. Amazon looked at a new way to do it. eBay looked at a new way to do it. And when they first started, I remember people saying, oh, they're never going to make it, never going to do anything. And Amazon, nobody's going to buy online without being able to see it. And we can see where that went. So look for those areas, look for those types of comments, because generally when people say it'll never happen, something generally happens in that market. So those are the kinds of things as well that our Congress people should be doing, is promoting these new innovative ideas. They should be talking to us about new innovative ideas. I mean, so to me, it's like, where's Tom Tiffany in the state Senate? What are they doing? These are questions you should be asking. And these are questions you should be calling and asking him every day. All right. COVID-19 update. If you go to the CDC site here most recently, CDC is reporting 928,619 cases, 52,459 deaths, and that's out of 55 jurisdictions reporting. Now, again, it's important to note that over 5,000 of the deaths are not verified cases and could be influenza. And my concern is that a number of these deaths are being combined with what would be normal influenza cases. And so we need to be asking for this data to be put side by side, which I've been saying for weeks, with the flu data. I mean, I don't understand why we're not running the same thing. And it would help people to better understand if the data is holding true, which makes what we're being told by these single sources, being our governors, telling us what we need to do and how we need to live. Maybe it'd make it more palatable. Maybe we would have a better handle on why we're taking such extreme measures if we were comparing this data against the flu. But as you've seen in past episodes, the data doesn't even meet what has happened with the flu over the years, that we've never taken this kind of extreme measures with. So we need to be asking those questions, and that's a big part of what Here's My Issue is about, is encouraging you to get out there and talk to the people that represent you and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. Or, hey, wait a minute, why aren't you showing us this information? Because the more we don't act, then they have no reason to do anything if you put no pressure on them. I mean, that goes back to my episode on Friday where I talk about why me? Why should I speak up? Why should I make myself vocal? Why should I make myself a target? I mean, somebody's got to say something. As we just sit back and just say, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Hey, are you going to do it? No, I'm not going to do it. Are you going to say something? No, I'm not going to say something. Then they just have free reign because they feel no pressure from us, because they just figure we're not educated enough to think about what is going on and take action on it. And they find themselves comfortable in their positions, and we just keep re-electing them, or we elect new people who are the same. And we shouldn't be doing that. COVID-19 for Wisconsin. We're still at just a minuscule amount of deaths in relationship to the rest of the country. And I have been trying to bring up a article I read today where it showed an actual map, and I'll try to have that printed out and ready for tomorrow's episode to talk about where how it looks in relationship to what our hotspots are. Because if you follow the logic we're being given, it seems to me that these hotspots are the ones that should be locked down. I mean, the rest of us should be able to go back to work. We don't need the kind of heavy-handed lockdown that we're seeing here in Wisconsin based on the number of cases we have in comparison to like New York and LA or even neighboring states. There's just no reason for this. So we have to continue then to work towards understanding that this was way over the top, and we need to get our states back going, and we need to get businesses back going, and we need to go back to some kind of normal, and we need to find a way to be exposed to the virus so that we can build immunity to the virus, and then be able to function like we did, just like we did every year with the flu. And every year we went to see grandma with the flu. So that's a lot of what's being told to us every day. And then it was interesting when we talk about all of this information from the people who are, we find as leaders. Tucker Carlson did an article, or I'm sorry, a broadcast about an interaction that occurred between a Cyclist and Governor Cuomo's brother, Chris Cuomo, who produces a TV show or a show where he talks a lot about different issues. And he, of course, over time has been telling everyone to stay home. And an interesting event occurred around Easter that I wanted to share with you today. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video for you, because this really kind of sets the tone for what I'm saying.
Well, after he tested positive for the coronavirus, which was
battery tied, connected to base pad.
Cuomo started broadcasting his show from his basement. From his basement, he delivered firm orders to all Americans: stay home, no matter what.
All right, so while most Americans are staying inside, or should be, right, if they're not out protesting like fools, they're not happy about being told to stay home. Staying home saves lives. And the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home.
Hey, proles, scamper back to your hovels. Go inside. Do you hear me? At that exact moment, while Chris Cuomo was demanding that America go inside and get back to their own homes, he wasn't taking the same advice. It turns out that at that moment, he was breaking quarantine himself, despite, as we said, being positive for the coronavirus. One day, Cuomo was spotted by a passing bicyclist who got into a tiff with him. Cuomo attacked the man later. Listen.
I don't want some loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
David Whalen is the jackass, loser, fat-tired biker in question, the cyclist Chris Cuomo tangled with, and he joins us tonight with his side of the story. I don't think we've ever had a jackass, loser, fat-tired biker on the show, but we're happy to start tonight. Thanks so much for coming on. So tell us about your exchange with Mr. Cuomo.
Well, first I'd like to say I probably could beat him in a bike race, even though he's a lot older than me. Younger than me. But besides that, the important thing was it was Easter Sunday evening. It was chilly, cold. I grew up about 1,000 feet from where he's building his new house, which is nothing but a steel frame. And I did a ride, and I go by down a trail that runs past where his new structure is being built, and there's a bunch of people there. I've been riding for 7-8 miles, take a little break, just looking, and a woman says, "May I help you?" And I said, "No, I'm just looking." And she starts walking out a little closer, and they're pretty far away. I have very good eyes. And Chris Cuomo turns around, and I'm like, holy smokes, it's Chris Cuomo. I'm fairly outspoken, and I just said, "Don't you have the coronavirus? Shouldn't you be quarantined?" And I think his next words were, "What the hell do you know about this? What do you know about the rules?" He continued to come closer and closer, and I like to say he was like a boiling pot. You could see his head he was getting more and more angry. And I said, "So you're going to lose your temper like you did on the guy at Shelter Island on me?" And so, basically, I just said, "You have coronavirus. What are you doing out here? You're supposed to be home." And I had not heard what you just played about, his quotes about how he was telling people to act. I see his show occasionally. And then at one point I said, "I'm moving on." I said, "You're not supposed to be out here." Nobody had gloves on. Nobody had masks on. There was 3 children, young adolescents. And I believe there was, I'm pretty sure it's his wife, because I've seen pictures now. and then there was a third adult. So, you know, they're out there. They probably have cabin fever, you know, like everybody that, you know, has these, you know, is in the situation has, you know. And they, you know, maybe they say, hey, we have masks on. We just drove out here. You know, they don't live there. Okay, it's a steel structure, and if I probably would just say I kind of understand. I would have just moved on. But he told me he was going to meet me, and he goes, "You're going to meet me over this. You will meet me again over this." And at that point, he's now getting about 40 feet away.
So he was in full roid rage at this point. I mean, he sounds almost dangerous. Have you? I have to ask you: have you been tested because you came into contact with an infected person who was within 6 feet of you?
You know, us normal human beings, we don't get to get tested. You know, which is one of the craziest things about this whole thing. You know, if you're wealthy, you have a lot of clout and this and that, you can go get tested. But for most normal people, you can't get tested. I do practice. I made my own mask weeks ago. I hit it with alcohol every day. I have one part-time employee. I don't let him within 10 feet of me. And, you know, my daughter's a doctor at Johns Hopkins. I get lectured by her, forever. And, and I yell at people when I see them, breaking the
well, I can see why.
distancing.
I mean, the last thing you need is to get infected by a CNN anchor who calls you a jackass loser, which, by the way, I don't think you are. After this conversation, I think you have a really good point. And David, I appreciate your coming on tonight, and I hope you're not sick. Yeah. Thank you.
I backed away when they didn't get 6 feet from me, but they started getting closer, and I just said, you know something, and I wasn't trying to antagonize the guy. You know,
no, I understand.
It was real simple. What the hell are you doing out here?
Yeah.
You know, you're on TV every night.
I think you were wise. I back away too. David, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
good to see you.
You're welcome.
Work doesn't stop coming in when managers aren't at their desk. But with Paycom's new manager on the go on their smartphone, they can make the most of that.
All right. Sorry, technology always fun here. Always fighting with the technology, but we get through it, right? You know, I mean, what are you going to do? You're just trying to get a message out here, and that whole exchange and the whole message being carried by people who have audiences. So every day he's getting on, Chris Cuomo's getting on his at-home quarantine, capitalizing on the fact that, he's taking care of himself. He's staying home. He's trying to send a message that everybody else needs to stay home. I would imagine, because I don't watch his show, he's carrying a message that says, wear masks, wear gloves, make sure you're staying sterile, make sure you're not getting too close to people. And then you see what he's doing. So is this an issue? We're in an issue. The other thing that's really interesting is that he's been tested positive for COVID-19. He doesn't look sick, and he looks fine in his videos. Is he taking hydroxychloroquine? Is he taking zinc? Is he taking the concoction that a lot of very wealthy people are getting put together for them? I mean, these are all good questions and good things to consider when you're hearing things from people like Chris Cuomo or his brother Governor Cuomo or anybody that's trying to perpetuate this idea that you need to stay home when in fact they're not doing the same. And there are countless stories like this of people doing that. So I wanted to share that video with you. It was very interesting, and I think it's, again, really good food for thought. So that is my food for thought today is, does the double standard set by Chris Cuomo and Governor Cuomo and anybody else in a position of being able to influence people really represent what needs to be done? And how do we know what's the truth? Truth is important. And I don't think we're getting all the truth. And I think the truth is being skewed to keep this issue of concern instead of making it, we're getting through it and now it's time to reopen and live our lives. So on that, I'm going to recommend that we all live our lives, that we do our best, and we recognize that we are Americans and we will not succumb to socialism and we will not succumb to our lives being impacted, that we have every right to make a choice. And we can make a choice if we feel that we're at risk, that we should stay home. And people can make a choice that says, I don't care, I'm going out and I'm going to a restaurant and I'm going to eat and I'm going to be there and I'm going to live my life the way I have before. I mean, that's the whole point. Those are the risks we take, just like getting in a car, getting on a plane, living free. We take those risks every day, and that's why we live in this country. So to believe that somehow you can just quarantine everyone and have them snitching on everyone through social tracing is just not realistic. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.